Good evening, YouTube. Matt and Roy back once again. Well. Though I get started a couple minutes early here, I think we may have to close that blind behind me, but I'm not worrying about it right now. Thought we try something a little bit new tonight. Most of you by now know that this is a variety channel. I do a little bit of everything on here. Um, but I wanted to try out a new topic here, and that is taking on new jobs. Yeah, I know the video's inverted. Since all this craziness has started, a lot of you have told me that you are just plain afraid of going out anywhere. I mean, not just to the grocery store, but let's say you need to get your car worked on. A lot of you are telling me that you don't even want to go to the mechanic shop anymore for fear you might pick this thing up. So what I want to do with everybody today is let me know what it is you have tackled personally that normally you would have paid someone else to do. While we're waiting, I'll tell you guys a funny story that happened to me today. For the longest time now on my 96 Chevy Tahoe, I've needed to do a fuel filter replacement. I knew it was old. I looked at it a while back and I've kind of been babying it, putting the fuel additives in. So finally, I broke down and I bought a new filter. Actually, I bought a new filter at AutoZone a few days ago, lost that one, then had to go out again yesterday, and I went to O'Reilly's this time, and I bought an even better filter. It was a Wix filter. So Eric, if you're here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So as I'm checking out, the lady behind the counter said, "You going to do this yourself? You have somebody pay? You gonna pay somebody to do it?" I'm like, normally something like this I would probably give to my mechanic, but I decided to try to tackle this one myself. And it wasn't because I'm afraid to go out. It was just because I needed to learn to do it myself. So got up nice and early this morning, was getting ready to do it, and boom, wind, sunny, but really, really windy. And I'm like, okay, it's 20, 25 mile an hour wind gusts. There is no way I am going to do a fuel filter because I know I'm going to be eating fuel. So waited a few hours. I think it wound up being around noon or 12:30 that finally went out there. I had Dad come out with me because he knew right away the proper wrenches that I needed. So got under there, took the two bolts off first that held the bracket in. Those I actually had to spray with WD-40. Took those out. And then I got the two wrenches in, and there's one nut on either side. You loosen the one on the left first, then the one on the right. It really doesn't matter, but if you listen to what they tell you online, that's what you're supposed to do. So I'm getting ready to drop the filter. And I'm starting to think, I have both the nuts loosened up, the bracket's already off, and I'm about to turn them both, that one final turn to loosen them up, and I'm like, you know what? I better get my face out of the way, or like that lady at O'Reilly said, I will be eating gas. Guess what, folks? I came this close to eating fuel, but I didn't. Dropped the filter, put the new one in. Whole thing took me maybe about 35, 40 minutes. A good mechanic could probably do it in about 10 minutes, but I'm not a good mechanic. I've never protested or pretended to be a good mechanic. So that's my quick story of something that I did myself. Now, I will be having to take the Tahoe to my mechanic because I need to have him weld the new exhaust tip onto the what's left of the flow master. Actually, it's just a little piece that rotted. Something I would love to try to do here, but unfortunately don't have the welding equipment or the experience to do that. And when it comes to welding, you better pay somebody to do it if you've never done it before. Especially on something that you care about. I mean, if you had like a little project, something that, if you welded it and you totally messed it, botched it up, it really wouldn't matter. But if it's your daily driver vehicle, then yeah, I would definitely pay somebody to do it. All right, so we got 8 watchers here, 3 likes. That is so awesome. So let me know what jobs you might be tackling now that you wouldn't have if all this craziness didn't happen. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to go ahead and shut those curtains. So I will be right back. I got to shut these babies. Yep. All right, I think that is much better right now. And I was actually inspired to make this by watching Auto Auction Rebuilds, not necessarily to do a name drop, but he is at Copart right now, and he's been pretty much self-taught when it comes to automotive repair. I'm still in the learning process. You know, it might take me another few years to get most of my repairs down pat, but now I can add to my repertoire. I've changed the fuel filter. I've replaced 2 starter motors in the past. I've done brake jobs before, and I've done like the routine maintenance, so oil changes. I've done a tranny service, so a lot of the basic stuff. But you know what, folks? If you're something like that, if you're really not what's a good word? If you're not really good at it, or if you never had any experience, you may want to pay a good mechanic to do it. What do they say? A good mechanic is like having a good doctor. It's going to keep you healthy, and in this case, it's going to keep your car healthy. Toke up. Woke up? I don't know. Rick Lake says, hey, Matt and George. George Blakely is here. I see Robert Jones is here. I don't know if you guys got the messages here. Supposed to send you guys out reminders, but it doesn't always. What is that? Sintown funniest product. I pulled my tooth with a pair of pliers. Oiled them for 10 minutes before pulling it. Okay. Okay, Home Dental Work saved about $340. Yeah, I'm right with you there. I've had some major issues with my teeth, certain ones. Actually, the funny part is just the molars and not the front teeth, like my parents have had issues with. I've actually still have all my original teeth except for the wisdom teeth, but I now have some caps. I have some pretty deep fillings. So believe me, I know your pain. Matter of fact, to this day, on this side where I broke that reconstruction, I still can't chew very hard there, or it gets sensitive. So yeah, it's not fun, and dental work can be expensive. I'm starting to learn that as I'm getting a little bit older here. And if you guys hear me sniffling a lot, it's allergies. It's not what you think. It's allergies. Allergy season is upon us once again. Summer, summer is always bad for me. Oddly, some people tell me that they think fall is worse than summer. But once again, for those of you that are late, we're talking about what new jobs are you taking on to try to save a little bit of money during all of this. I figured that some of you out there have an idea of something that you're doing. I mean, think about it. Think about something that maybe here's a great one. I know some of you out there are probably doing this. You're cooking for the first time. How many of you out there, and I know there's some out there, ate out most of the time, went to restaurants, every night. But now maybe you're at home, you're working from home, and you're either the restaurants aren't open in your area, or if they are, you're afraid to get the food, and maybe you started cooking. I mean, cooking is a great option. And I always recommend it, being a reformed junk food eater. I love cooking because if I cook my own food, I know what's in it. I don't have to worry about, oh, did the restaurant mark down the right amount of calories, the right amount of fat, the right amount of sodium? Because that's a big worry for me. You know, I've even to this day, since I lost the weight, I tend to have high blood pressure, so I kind of have to watch my salt intake. Robert Jones, we pulled each other's teeth when I was growing up, my brothers and sisters. I'm not surprised. Baby teeth are real easy. When they're ready to come out, you usually just grab it and pull it right out. I remember my dad doing that. I don't think we ever tried. There was something that they always used to show on TV, and this was mainly for removing baby teeth. And you would tie a string to the loose tooth, and then you would tie a rock to the other end, and you would like drop it off a balcony, and you would have the kid hang on. And as the rock dropped, it would give about just the right amount of force to yank that tooth out. I actually don't know anybody that's done that, but I'm sure people have attempted it. Not sure I understand that last one. Your tower wall has dropped about 2 feet. Does that mean dollars in your pocket? Oh, oh. Yeah, yeah, that's good. I didn't get that. Yeah, yeah. I've actually sold a few systems over the past couple of days. What is that down? 2, 4, 6, 8. I have one downstairs, so I sold three. Yeah, I sold three systems. Yeah, I got it. It took me a minute. It took me a minute. I'm a little slow sometimes, folks, but I'll get it eventually. Okay, that's weird. Put this on airplane mode. Been getting a lot of crank calls, and the way you know you're getting crank called, it doesn't necessarily have to be a foreign number. Sometimes it's even our area code, but they'll ring it like once and then stop, and then they'll ring it again and then stop. And if you don't pick up right away, and the reason they do that is because they're calling a whole bunch of people at once, and they're trying to find that one person that's going to pick it up immediately. Because if that is the kind of person that does that with their phone, chances are they can scam them. So just be really cautious out there. Eric's done working on mowers and about to jump in the shower. I'm with you. After this, I'm going to be doing the same thing. Even though I didn't technically eat any gas when I was changing out the fuel filter, I got it all over my arm. And hang on. No, no, pretty much dissipated now. So actually, I'm good. Maybe I can wait till tomorrow to shower. Nah, I don't think so. That's one thing that drives me nuts. Okay, people like to shower in the morning, right? And I get that. I mean, you wake up, you got sleep in your eye, you want to wash off the night times, and it also helps invigorate people. That's fine. But I've always showered at night because the way I think about it is, when are you the dirtiest? That's right, at night after you've been through your day, you've done your day, you shower at night because you want to wash off all the sweat, the blood sometimes that you accumulated during the day. So I always shower at night. And an added benefit to that is you don't have to wash your sheets as much, because if you're going into bed from a clean shower, then what are you going to get dirty? So think about it, folks. Think about that one. Uh-oh. Looks like Eric is smelling like gas. Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, even though technically the fuel filter on the Tahoe was, I wish I saved it to show you guys, was not clogged. We checked it. It was disgusting. Like, it would not have surprised me if that was either the original fuel filter, or at the very least maybe the second one that was ever on there. I mean, it was rusted, like rusted to the point where I couldn't tell you what brand that fuel filter was. I couldn't tell you if it was an AC Delco. I couldn't tell you if it was like an old Duralast, or what was the one they had before that? Ultra Spark. I don't know if that was one of their fuel filter brands, but I'm very surprised that Tahoe ran as good as it did with that old filter. So now the only thing I have to do is get that exhaust tip fixed, and hopefully she'll be good to go for a while. It's got 9 watchers and 4 likes. Oh, so one thing I am thinking about doing, I want to do some more cooking videos, and those are going to be coming up probably in the very near future. I have some things planned, but I want to wait until I am fully done losing the weight. Okay. I have 4 more pounds to go. I am 198 right now, and I really want to get down to 194. Once I get down to 194, that is it. That means I'm in a normal weight, and I'm going to feel a little bit better about indulging myself at night. So maybe in the next few weeks, we're going to see some new cooking videos on this channel. And one thing I want you to do, I don't want you to give it as homework, but it kind of is. Give me some ideas. What do you want to see me cook? What do you want to see me attempt to cook? You could try to throw me some curveballs out there and laugh at if I totally mess it up. Sintown funniest product. Are the cheap Windows Office 365 product keys for sale on eBay worth it? They can be. What I would suggest, if you're looking for them on eBay and you're buying them, because it's a gray area, let's be honest, look at the feedback. There will be feedback. Make sure that, number one, he has good feedback, the person saying, and number two, you have to dig deeper. You go into it, you look, and you make sure that the feedbacks are not all from the same person. If it meets those 2 criteria, I would say go for it. What you're going to do, you don't get a physical product, you get an account, so a username and a password, and you'll log in to office.com with that, and it'll allow you to download Microsoft Office to the computer, and it'll also give you an online presence. Basically, you can store up to 5 gigabytes of data to that account on Microsoft servers via OneDrive. Robert Jones, Matt, I'm looking to buy a used car. What suggestion do you have for me? Well, it depends. That's kind of open. It depends on what kind of car you're looking for. If you're looking for like a cheap economy car, then Toyotas are always the best. Listen to Scotty Kilmer, Toyota Corolla, Toyota Camry, something like that. But you're going to spend more for that because they have higher resale value. If you're looking for something really inexpensive, something like as a knockaround vehicle, I would suggest looking at an old GM, like my Buick LeSabre, an old Buick from like the late 90s, early 2000s. So we're talking maybe 1997 to like 2004 or 5. Buick LeSabre, Park Avenue, Century. They're all great cars. They can be had very inexpensively. I mean, we're talking, I paid $1,600 for mine, and granted, mine had like 136,000 miles on it, but it's still got a lot of life left in it. And really the only weak point on those, I would say, would be the transmit. The engines are pretty much bulletproof. They're known to go 250, 300,000 miles. The trannies can be a little on the weak side, so have a mechanic look at it. Make sure that it passes his inspection. If it does, I'd say go for it. Homemade pizza. Do you want to know? Something funny. I've done it before. I really have. And not only have I've gone as far as to make my own pizza dough, and you can do that in bread makers. That's good. That's good. I might do that. Matter of fact, Okay. I think I'm going to do that one. I'm going to do that as a treat. Once I get down to my ultimate weight goal, 194, folks, I think I'm going to do the homemade pizza. Rick, very good option. Try making a chicken pot pie from scratch. Okay. I need to write the. Hang on. Before I lose the chat here, let me put this down. So we got number one. We have homemade pizza. Number two, we have chicken pot pie. And I just saw Eric's here, and I'm not actually sure what that is. Biryani. And I'll write down what this is too. When I say write it down, I mean type it because my handwriting is terrible. I'm going to call this YouTube cooking suggestions from my subs. For and from. Always get those mixed up. Remember that episode of Family Guy when Peter thought he was writing a card for himself, but it was from himself? All right, so we got three really good options there, and I'm actually going to save this because my memory's shot. You guys all know that. Don't do that to me now. I'll tell you one glitch I have found with Office 365 is if you try to copy and paste a file name into the save as, it doesn't always work. It'll just blank it out. So be forewarned, when you go to save as, a lot of times you actually have to physically type that in. Copying and pasting doesn't work there. All right, so we got 11 watchers so far, and we had some great options. Some people are doing their own home dentistry. Some people are starting to do their own home cooking. I'm trying to think of a few other things that I've heard. And I'm going to turn this off because I don't think we need that much light right now. Dieting. Dieting is another great option that you can try to tackle at home with the proper guidance, let's say. I've honed my skills now over the last 3 years. But for those of you that are just starting out, you still might want to consult somebody like Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers. But since you can't do that now, try to do your own thing. Most of you out there know what it means to diet and exercise. I mean, yeah, they're all different fads out there, but what I've talked about in the past is lifestyle change. Talk about totally changing the way you look at food, the way you look at exercise. If you can do it, great. If not, once all this is over with, definitely get some help out there because, and I am not a big fan of diets. I've said this many times. I think diets fail, but you can learn good habits from attempting a diet. So if you can't do it on your own, seek out professional help. It will be beneficial in the long run, believe me. Awesome Computers here says, hey, Matt. And not to be repetitive, but I am going to mention something that I talked about in, I think it was last night's live stream, which was business opportunities for people who are out of work right now. That is making face masks. I mean, that is something great that you can tackle yourself, and you can keep those for your family, and you can even sell them. Sintown, funniest products. I'm a big guy, but afraid my skin will look funny if I lost too much weight. The last 20 years, I haven't ate right. You sound like me. I'm not going to lie and say that your skin's going to be great because it's not. Mine isn't. I still look in the mirror and I still have reminders of my previous lifestyle. But I will tell you this: looks don't matter. They really don't. And I have to keep telling myself that because I'm healthier now than I have ever been in my entire life. I'm talking about my entire life, even as a kid. I was a fat kid. I pulled out some video that we shot back in 1991. I would have been 8 years old at that point. Of us in trying to remember where it was. I think it was Cape Cod, something like that. We were at the beach and I was running around, without my shirt, and I looked at myself and I'm like, God, was I that fat as an 8 year old? I mean, I look at myself, and even back then, I had a huge gut. I mean, how many 8 year olds, have huge guts? I'm sorry to get emotional with this, but I spent so many years, you know, wasted because I was in denial about where I was and the way I was eating. Don't let it stop you from trying. If you lose the weight, there are options out there. My doctor tells me that even under Medicaid, I can get skin removal surgery if it's deemed medically necessary. Now, in my case, it's a little bit of a gray area because I have been doing a lot of exercises that have firmed up different areas. So they may not deem it medically necessary in my case anymore. However, if you are maybe a little bit older, you had a little bit more saggy skin, then they might be able to do plastic surgery. That is definitely an option. A lot of people don't know that, and I didn't know that. Rick Lakes, mowing lawns is what I will be doing on Thursday. We'll be doing a lot of walking with two mid-sized yards. That's what we call killing two birds with one stone. You're going to get your exercise and you're going to make money. That's great. Absolutely. Now, one thing you want to remember about doing lawns and yard work, especially this time of year during the summer, you need to have plenty of this. I can tell you, as being someone who's had heat stroke multiple times in his life, it's not fun and it can be very dangerous. Try to finish at least one of these a day. I used to drink a gallon of water. Now I'm down to, what is this? 50 fluid ounces. So you guys can do the math there. Math was never one of my strong suits, but fun fact, the more fit you are, the less water you really need. And I think the reason behind that is, number one, you're utilizing your water, your food better. And number two, you don't sweat as much. When I was really overweight, I used to sweat all the time. Good man. He's got water with him. Classic Mobile Home says hi. Hi, Classic Mobile Home. So we've had some really good answers here for things that you're tackling well, not necessarily out of work, but doing more things for yourself because you're afraid to go places and do things. Now, we're gonna wrap this up in a minute, but I will tell you that I don't think you should be that fearful. We are coming to a crossroads now. There's a point where the economy is going to go over the cliff. It's called the point of no return. And I think we're going to be approaching that now. That's why the governments are reopening for the most part. That being said, I totally expect to see more cases popping up. We're talking about, maybe not a huge spike like we've seen, in the beginning, but it's going to happen, folks. And I honestly believe that we probably would have been better off never closing the economy and not doing the self-quarantining because it's just delaying the inevitable. And I'm going to leave you guys with that tonight. I really hope you seriously think about maybe getting a side hustle, starting to do things for yourself. Please continue to like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.